The detail on this really is stunning. It is new tooling, but it's really crisp, and the paint application is quite light. A big hello to you, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jennifer Kirk, welcome you up here to the loft on Weir Yard. It's so great to see you, and I hope I find you well. Now today we're going to be taking a look at some all new tooled wagons that have come through from Rapido trains, and these follow hot on the heels of the 5 and 7 plank wagons that they released earlier this year from the South Eastern and Chatham Railway Company. And just like the South Eastern and Chatham Railway Company, these wagons are making use of that common underframe that were utilised in a number of standard wagon designs. Now these were some very long lasting wagons, and indeed some of them lasted right through into the 1970s, and it's the turn today of the review for the 2-plank South Eastern and Chatham Railway ballast wagon and the 10-ton covered goods wagon that went on to form the template of pretty much the standard Southern Railway goods van, and examples of these could be seen right through into the 1970s, and indeed one example of the 10-ton van does survive to this day on the Bluebell Railway, and I'm really grateful to Rapido Trains for sending over some examples for review and allowing us to take a good close look at these new wagons and see just how well they perform. So come with me in association with Tramfabrique, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts, with the full range available to browse and buy today from their UK-based stockists tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from Rails of Sheffield. Sell to the name you know and trust. Buy, sell or exchange any age or any gauge. Call them now for the very best price. Check them out today at the link below. Well, I'm really looking forward to taking a good close look at these, and don't forget that we've got an affiliate link in the description box down below that takes you to where you can find the wagons featured in today's review, including all of the different livery options available for sale at what we think is some of the best prices out there on the market. So come with me, and I'm really looking forward to this. Earlier this year, Rapido Trains wowed us with their South Eastern and Chatham Railway open wagons to 2 different diagrams, and suitable from the very late BR period going all the way back to the pre-1923 liveries. Hot on the heels of those, we have the 10-ton ventilated van and the 2-plank ballast wagon, again from the South Eastern and Chatham Railway, that have finally come through to be added to the Rapido Trains range. The prototypes of these wagons were incredibly long-lasting, and Rapido have catered for this with a number of the catalogue releases being suitable for the very late period that they ran on British Rail as part of the engineers fleet. And this is a great opportunity for a wide range of modellers to include them, as the prototypes may have even lasted into the early 1980s, tucked away in a dilapidated form at the back of depots and goods yards. And certainly it's something that will look really great mixed in with some far later prototype wagons. But Rapido Trains has not forgotten modellers of the Big Four period, the earlier BR period, and even the pre-grouping period. And it's been a big growth area in our hobby for modellers to go back in time and pick up where perhaps once those pretty pre-grouping liveries were not considered the in thing. Now they very much are, by a whole generation of people who never experienced them firsthand. Rapido Trains have very kindly sent over for review to the channel examples of both types of wagons. And we've got the 10-ton ventilated wagon and its very late engineer's black livery. And this is something just a little bit different. The range also includes earlier British Rail traffic liveries, Southern Railway liveries, and also examples in the original South Eastern and Chatham Railway grey. And that's a real boon for those modellers who for so long have been picking up all those pretty locomotives in the pre-grouping liveries and not really had anything to go behind them. Well, that has now really very much changed, with Rapido trains very wholeheartedly getting behind the pre-grouping scene. They've also sent over 2 examples of the 2-plank ballast wagon, representing again its very final days in the engineering fleet, and the earlier British Rail traffic livery in this bauxite brown. Other versions available include Southern Railway and, of course, that original South Eastern and Chatham Railway livery. I'm going to look at the ventilated van first, and it comes in the standard Rapido trains box, which is exactly the same form factor as those used by all of the other major manufacturers for their single-packed wagons. So we've got a catalogue number on the end of 927009, and this is the South Eastern and Chatham Railway 10-ton van as number DS47182 in the BR departmental livery of black. One of the really great touches on this is, even though this is a humble wagon in their range, we get a full fact sheet which covers you for everything about these wagons. These were introduced by the South Eastern and Chatham Railway, based around its new 7-plank open wagon in 1915, and just like the company that they have been modelling the wagons from, all of these wagons have a common underframe with the previous released open wagons, and this is actually because the prototypes were exactly the same, with the South Eastern and Chatham making really good use of the standardisation of that underframe. The design was actually so successful that it became the basis of the standard Southern Railway van, and nearly 250 were built to this design, with many lasting into BR days, and one, number 15750, survives into preservation at the Bluebell Railway. On the back, we've got a little advert for some of the other forthcoming and current items in the Rapido trains range. The wagon itself is held in a standard blister, and you can see here that it sports a wealth of detail. It's a little bit shiny out of the box, but there's nothing to stop you from just weathering that down. And I think a very gentle application of weathering powders just to signify some kind of frame dirt on this will really go well. Don't forget that it's a largely wooden wagon, so don't be painting those planks with rust because it just doesn't happen in real life. It's interesting as well to see the representation of the drawbar gear underneath, and this is actually prototypically correct. It's a common misconception that the wagon was just simply pulled from the front buffer beam, and actually it's not the case. With the coupling attached to the hook itself, through a series of springs and these push bars, most of the motion of the wagon came from actually being pulled from the rear buffer beam. The rest of the underframe detail is pretty nice. We don't have any brake blocks on this side, but we do have a representation of the handbrake gear, and you can see there we've got all the Morton clutches and the transfer rod across the bottom of the wagon, and on the other side correctly we've got the 2 brake blocks that would act on these 2 wheels, and these do line up with the treads. The wheels themselves are very free running, and we've got the correct split spoke pattern. We've also got the correct pattern buffers. It's again another misconception that one buffer is pretty much the same as another, and this just shows that there are so many different patterns out there, usually owing their origin back to the original building company. These are quite distinctive, and the wagon carries them well. The buffer heads feel very firm and secure. It's almost like they're made from metal. I'm not actually sure what they're made from, but certainly they've got no seams across the front faces and really do capture the prototypical look accurately. Couplings are in a slimline NEM pocket, and the triangular recess is hidden between the wheels, so if you wish to use alternative means of coupling, perhaps 3 links, well, then that isn't something that you need to remove from underneath because it's hidden away quite nicely. On the side of the wagon, we've got these cupboard style doors at the top modelled correctly with a lot of relief detail, and this is all moulded in, but actually it's really well moulded, and it just goes to show what can be achieved with the quality of current modern tooling. We've then got the drop side bottom door, again with all of its correct metalwork, and the chains really are incredibly well moulded on there. And they are just mouldings. It's a great way of keeping costs down, and this just shows you don't need separately fitted detail to make a quality product. And if it can keep the cost down, then it really is great. On the underframe, we've got the raised detail there, correctly printed up as the wagon's running number. And again, it's not separately fitted, but it looks like it could be. It's really well done. The printing, too, is really, really sharp. And you can see here that the livery represents a stores van, with the lettering to work between motive power depots only. And this would have presumably held something like stores, spare parts, and anything that a outlying motive power depot might need as consumables. And these would just work between the central stores and those motive power depots, just trucking the bits and pieces that they needed in the days long before somebody thought that they just put all of this on the back of a lorry. The ends of these wagons are shaped exactly as per the prototype. Rapido have captured an actually quite complex curve on the roof really, really well. They have a radius that's quite shallow, and then it suddenly gets very, very steep at the edges with this tumble home. And it was very, very characteristic of this style of wagons, so much so that it was carried over into pretty much all of the standard Southern Railway designs. During the Second World War even, a number of wagons were built at Ashford to a much of a similar design for the Great Western and the LMS too, so it was pretty widespread. The ventilators too are really, really nice, and that does feel like it is a separately fitted part. There's actually air underneath, and that is a really, really nice touch. It does also mean that, I suppose theoretically, it might be possible for Rapido to model those vans that might have had these ventilators removed later in life. The roof itself is finished in quite a pleasing satin finish, and it does really look nice and the part. If there was one thing that I could criticise with this, it's the slightly shiny finish on the sides, but a quick dusting over with weathering powders will soon fix that. All in all, it really is a well-finished great wagon, with a lot of metal parts, very, very subtly fitted in, like the brake detail, which really makes it strong and robust, but utilising the relief of very carefully moulded detail where it really does look good and doesn't need separately applied parts. Looking to the other two wagons that Rapido have kindly sent over, these represent the ballast wagon with a two-plank open top, again built on the same chassis, but a very different wagon, and certainly one that's eye-catching and quite different from anything else that we've seen ready to run. The two examples that Rapido have sent over are 928008 as the ballast wagon in the BR red oxide with the post-Southern Railway body as number 62444, and we've also got catalogue number 928011 as number S62388, and this is in British Rail black, but again with the post-Southern Railway body. Looking at the BR Black version first, again, it's a pretty simple job to get it out of the packaging. And just like the 10-ton wagon, we've got a little bit of the history here. These were introduced in 1919, 120 built over 4 years, the last ones actually being built by the Southern Railway, all allocated diagram number 1744. And actually, these were one of the few wagons that you would routinely see in some quite long rakes. And actually they were so useful that BR didn't finally get rid of the last ones until 1971. So it's not unreasonable to have seen these riding behind BR blue diesels. Once removed from the blistering, again, we've got the black livery rendition, but it doesn't look quite so shiny on this wagon as it did on the 10-ton van. The rest of the underframe detail is exactly the same as we saw on that 10-ton van, with the couplings in the narrow tension lock NEM pockets, and the wheels are very, very free-running metal split spoke. Above the sole bar, it's a very different story, with those twin planks, the drop sides, and the fixed ends. Again, we've got a wealth of moulded on detail that actually you'd be hard-pressed to realise is just moulded on. It is really crisp and clear. On the sole bar, we've got this addition of these door bangers, these springs that meant that when the doors were open and dropped down, they didn't bash against the axle boxes, and it protected them to some degree from any kind of damage. Both ends of the wagon are exactly the same, and we've got the same pattern of buffers that we saw on the 10-ton van. The printing again is really sharp, and this livery is actually really interesting. I do like this. It's something that really does stand out as very different from any other liveries that I've been seeing on the market, and I really do love these engineers' wagons. Again, the wagon build plate is nicely finished. It's got this raised detail that makes it look like it could be separately fitted, and that lettering and numbering is really sharp. The brake rigging again has a wealth of metal parts, and these give it strength and robustness, and really looks great with the scale thickness, with the push rod across the center of the wagon, and this really fine brake detail on the other side, with the clutches that theoretically would allow it to apply the brakes across the bottom of the wagon that apply just there, lining up with the treads on those two wheels. I'm going to look now to the second wagon that Rapido have sent over. Again, same box with the little slip with the data in. I'm going to take this out, and this, in my eyes, is a really eye-catching livery too. We've still got those split spoke wheels, but this livery really shows off even more of that detail. I like the way that these door bangers, they're black at the bottom but bauxite brown where they correspond to the frame. It's nice little touches like that that really do bring this alive. I also like this extra super long brake lever that just sort of kicks out at the end with the white painted on it. It really does look great. In fact, I'm just looking there, and yes, that brake lever is there on the black version, but without the end painted white, it doesn't really stand out. I do love this livery. Again, we can see that really nice detail with the clips that hold the drop side doors in place when not dropped down. The detail on this really is stunning. It is new tooling, but it's really crisp, and the paint application is quite light. Looking to the inside, it's finished in this kind of fawn colour, like bare wood, and it's one of those areas where unpainted wood is very difficult to replicate in model form, but this colour does seem to work really well, and incidentally, it's the same colour that we see on the black wagon too. There's no real relief detail on the inside other than the plank that goes all the way round, but that's perfectly okay. It's not too noticeable, and the planking that's on the floor of the wagon is quite subtly done. It looks right, and there's no clogging of paint in any of those gaps. So all in all, a really great model. I do particularly like as well these W irons and the spring detail. It looks like it could almost be real. In fact, I feel like I should expect that spring to rise and fall with the push of my thumb. It doesn't, but that is incredible detail on the leaves of those springs. And I really like those bangers at the top there, which would just limit the springs from going beyond a certain point. It's all prototypically accurate and really sharply done. One thing which I spotted, which I really do find an impressive development, is these have metal bearing cups at the end of the pinpoint axles, and this goes a long way to not just ensure that you get very free running, but also that you don't get premature bearing wear. It's something that if the ends of the axles are a little bit rough, they can quite literally just machine their way out through the W irons. Admittedly, that is quite an extreme example, but I have known it to happen on some of my wagons which I've had 20 years. But these metal bearing cups do go a long way to really give a feel of something that is so well thought out. So we turn now to the scores, and first up is build quality. And really, these do feel like a really well put together wagon. There's some great use of metal parts, especially on the underframe, which makes them incredibly robust. But there's also a lot of moulded on detail where actually you don't notice that it's moulded on, and that's really good as well. So in the absence of anything that I can really fault, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. On running quality, the wagons performed incredibly well too. We didn't even rattle when they went through the frogs of point work, and they were incredibly free running. On weir yard, they ran exceptionally well. Again, no area where I could fault, so they get 10 out of 10. On DCC fitting and innovation, well, there's no DCC fitting really in here, but on innovation, I really do like these separately fitted ventilators. It's possibly not the easiest to see on this all black wagon, but believe me, it does feel that there's a nice gap just up there. And I also really like the brake detail on these. It's another sublime point. Really well executed. So I'm going to give it a 9.0. On accuracy and quality of finish, Rapido have really captured the look of the prototype exceptionally well. The only area which for me really kind of started to detract was this overall gloss finish. I felt it was just a little bit too glossy on the BR Black. Although when it came to looking at the other liveries, whilst there was still an element of gloss, it didn't really overwhelm the wagon quite so much. So overall, I'm going to give this a 9.2. On value for money, these wagons are available. I found them for around £28, and we do have an affiliate link down below to help you find these and all of the other liveries that are available. One thing that I really like to point out is that there's a really nice late engineers livery as a soul wagon with the green triangle and return empty to Ashford branding, and that is perfect for those modelers that want to model these in the very end of their days in the ballast trains up to and including 1971. It's a great opportunity for BR Blue diesel users to also make the best of these new releases. At £28, both for the 2-plank ballast wagon and for the 10-ton ventilated wagon, it is a really good price for what is a high-quality, new tooled model with plenty of detail where it counts. It feels through and through a really great quality product, and I am really happy to give it a 9.5 out of 10. And that combines to give us an incredibly healthy 47.7. These are great wagons and are a welcome addition to ready-to-run wagons that are out there on the market. They also plug a hole in pre-grouping wagons, and I have to say I really do like the fact that the manufacturers are starting to turn to this huge untapped wealth of wagon resources that, as these wagons show, did actually run really quite late. 1971 is quite a great innings for a wagon produced in 1919. And with the fact that the pre-grouping modeler has not been left out, these are likely to appeal to pretty much everybody. I'd like to thank Rapido Trains too for sending these wagons over for review. These are definitely a standout release of this year and are sure to prove popular. Well, I hope you really enjoyed today's video and found it informative too, and if you really like the look of the wagons under review today, then we do have a link in the description box down below just to help you find these and all of the different livery options that are available. But do hurry, because like some of the previous releases, these are sure to sell out quickly. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below what you think about these wagons. Are there features that maybe you've spotted that perhaps you think I've missed? And also, are these something that maybe you've already got for your fleet and you're really happy with them, or do you have them on order and you're really looking forward to them arriving? Let me know in the comments section down below. And until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying please like, share and subscribe. Check out our merch store, and also check us out over on Patreon, where you can help support the channel to keep making the videos that you want to see for as little as $1 a month. But until next time, you take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now. Today's video is sponsored by Train-O-Matic, makers of DCC decoders designed to be fully compatible with every manufacturer's locomotive. Visit train-o-matic.com to browse the full range and see what they've got suitable for you. Additional support comes from Rails of Sheffield. Sell to the name you know and trust. Family-run business purchasing collections for over 50 years. From single items to lifetime collections. No collection is too small or too big. Buy, sell or exchange, any age or any gauge. Rails will take everything: locos, coaches, wagons, track work, controllers, accessories. In fact, they'll take absolutely everything and certainly will not cherry pick the best items. Rails are only a phone call away. Call them now for the very best price and get instant cash payment or same-day transfer. Check them out today at the link below. I'd like to send out a huge thanks to everybody who supports me on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Offshore Allen, Michael Lockie, Helen Sink, Gary Lewis, David Quinn, Sparky107107, George Botterini, Chris Moss, Robert Steers, Sam Yates, Dale Williams, John N from NC, NYMRish, Jonathan Foster, Peter, Clifford Ison, Larry W. Grant, NI Railways 4000 class, Ian Coulson, Alan Dickerson, Eddie Popper, Karen Nichol, Medwin Williams, Crossways Point Junction, 3B Rail, Jennifer Horton, and James Beckett. Thank you. Without you guys, I couldn't do this.